Allahrakka literally means one who is protected by God. But in his case, it truly means the one who is blessed by the divine. He is fondly called Isai Puyal by his fans, which in Tamil means musical storm. His versatility, his passion, his pure love for music is reflected in the undying love he has garnered for himself, not just in India, but throughout the world. I am very fortunate to be sitting with this music legend himself, who is none other than Allahrakka Rahman. Thank you so much, Rahman, for joining us today. I am absolutely delighted to be talking about your life story.
Thank you.
Everybody knows Rahman as this brilliant music composer, the man who has created tunes that has got the world dancing to your beats. But today I want you to sit back, relax, and tell me about your entire journey. So I want to go back to the man who was the child, actually, who was called Dilip Kumar Shekhar, back in Chennai. And I want to go back to your first 10 years of your life. Am I correct when I say that you are from a Tamil middle-class family?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had a regular life. Of course, your father was a music composer.
Yeah, my father worked as a arranger, composer, and a musician. He mainly worked for Malayalam industry, and so he worked for Malayalam composers. And he passed away when I was 9 years old due to illness. So my whole childhood was in the hospital, like 5 to 8 to 9, yeah. And after that, my mother took over, and she strongly believed that I would become a composer or musician. She believed that I would take over one day.
Rahman, when you were a child,
Yeah.
did you have a regular childhood in terms of playing?
Not much. The only thing I used to do, go to the rooftop and fly kites.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was one thing. But otherwise, I had to work. I had to skip schools, take equipment, set up for light music program.
You were helping your father.
No, after my father passed away.
Before, when he was alive,
Before, yeah, I was studying, of course.
you were studying.
Yeah, I was in the 4th when he passed away.
You started working from your 4th grade onwards?
Yeah,
4th, 5th, 6th grade, started working because you were forced to because of financial circumstances. And what was the job you were doing then?
I was actually setting up. I was a roadie.
Oh, okay.
Roadie. I was setting up equipments for light music programs for other composers, musicians. And then my mother said, "Why do you want to do this job? Why don't you learn more? You start playing."
Okay.
So she was the force.
She was the one who pushed you into music.
Yeah.
But before she pushed you into music, what were your own dreams about how you would like to see your life?
I was very fascinated by electronics.
Okay.
I was,
As in tech?
yeah, tech, hardware.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, but then if I was an electronic engineer, I wouldn't have achieved so much. So I had to give it to my mom.
I believe there was a phase in your life, and I think a lot of us, when we are growing up, have that phase,
Yeah.
which is when you question the whole existence of God, right? You almost are partial atheist until you find your own calling. You also went through that phase.
Yes, for me, the Sufi teacher actually.
Oh, you were learning Sufi music?
No, there was spiritual healer who kind of predicted that my mom that there would be after 10 years, he was very ill, so he treated my mother as a daughter, and so we as a family went and took care of him during his last. So he kind of said that, predicted my whole future. He said, "You guys are going to be flying all over the world." And I was like, "What is this old man joking?"
Right.
So what happened was, after this, I named my studio. He named my studio called Panchatan. I didn't know what it was. There's 5 holy people from whom we respect, and so the studio was built. And then every day I would go to the studio. Things will happen in 100x, 10x, 15x. So I was sense of freedom, redemption, everything came through that. And it, in a way, actually, me being more in the studio cleansed me out of every other thing. Going out, or just being like, this is my safe haven. Even today, people calling me like, why can't you go shift into posh areas? Why are you in Hodambakam, in Samyar Madam? I said, doesn't matter. When you close your eyes, it can be anywhere.
But Rahman, what was the trigger at 15, 16? Because usually 15, 16-year-old kids are, basically looking at the good life, partying, doing all the regular teenage rebellious stuff.
I was an introvert. I could never mix with people.
Always?
Yeah, I always felt like inferiority complex. And just because of the way we were growing up, we didn't So all these stuff attacked me. So my only heaven was music and spirituality.
So you were saying you were an introvert, you had an inferiority complex. It sounds very funny today when A.R. Rahman says, I used to suffer from an inferiority complex.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, so
Suicidal thoughts constantly.
exactly, so why? What was it that you
I
were
don't
going
know.
through?
I don't know, actually.
Why were you such a,
I don't know.
depressed?
I think because of I missed all the fun in childhood, maybe, and I think it's very important to be with to have a social life with the right people.
Of course.
I never had that. Very few friends, actually.
So you're saying your path to, salvation, so to speak, came at the age of 16, 17 when you decided to, adopt another faith.
Yeah, I think what happened was my mother and myself, we had this kind of a zone, and even she went through a lot, and I still respect for how strong any other woman in her state would have committed
Yeah,
suicide.
I
straight away.
believe she became a widow at 26, right?
20, 26, 27, and she had to face a lot of family trouble because other people, they won't access the wealth or whatever little we had, and so we had all this stuff. Anyway, everything's forgiven. So she and me, we kind of took this decision. Like, I read this quote from Jesus Christ. I don't know where it was. And somebody told me, like, be hot water or cold water. Don't be warm water. So this kind of inspired me to say that. I told this to my mom. Like, let's choose one, and that's what we chose. And nobody told us you should do this, you should do that. It's a personal call from within, and still I think it's expanding, and it's probably blossoming into something beautiful where I want to help. She has been, philanthropy. She's been amazing. She would feed anybody.
But why, how, what was the trigger? What made you decide, okay, I will choose Islam? Why not Christianity? I'm just asking.
Because of the spiritual healer.
Okay.
And what miracle she saw in that house of his,
Okay.
with the other patients, and whatever he said becoming true. So you know that there is something which is a light which you don't know but feels like right.
How was your family, apart from your core family?
Yeah.
Your extended family. How did they take this?
No, we were like I told you, we were just like
Tight unit.
3 sisters, me, that's it. Because we had so much of negative energy. I mean, they're all good people, but the core of what we were facing were extraordinary and excruciatingly negative. So we just thought we'd stick to our core family and deal with life.
I also believe that you hated your name.
Yeah, I hated my name. I don't know why I hated my name, because I love Dilip Sekar. I'll go see him, but that name I hated. And maybe because I just wanted to completely wipe out my past in my mind, and I have a complete new
Fresh start. Like reborn.
And this gave me that, and I felt so young, and I felt so energetic. So another thing was Rahman. Actually, I bought a book, 99 Names of God, in the Taj that time. There was a bookshop that time, and I just bought it and then opened it, and his first name was Rahman. So I got a shock and shivers, like, oh my God.
So I want to go back. You're saying I wanted to have a rebirth. I
Yes.
wanted to leave my past behind, including my identity.
Yeah.
It was all new. What was so bad in the version 1.0? What was so wrong?
It was me. Nothing was wrong outside. It was me. It was me with, I told you, inferiority complexes. And I think it was a combination of tragedies. I used to love my grandmother. I used to love my father, was father figure. And I used to fail miserably in everything, in all the subjects. I used to be a complete loser. So I used to be probably the last in the class. And so I think in a way, I'm probably a late bloomer, and the blooming happened because of spiritual awakening. And that's one of the reasons maybe I would have thought daringly that, I could have committed suicide. I could have, and this life is a gift from this awakening. And so I respect it a lot. So what if somebody dies? It's an end of story. Like, it happens everywhere.
That's true.
And we're not looking at which source it comes. many people get it from different sources. There could be a mentor, there could be an inspiration, there could be a song, there could be a story, there could be another spiritual healer, like mine from another faith.
Sure.
But for me, this faith and this spiritual healer, this kindness, all this happened.
Rahman, just to go back, when did you fall in love with music? A lot of stuff that you did was because of circumstances. When was it
18.
when you switched?
I was 18. I was doing commercials, and that's when all my compositions started coming on TV. So when it came on TV, then I would just notice people like anonymously, because nobody knew who did that stuff,
Yeah,
and they would come and I like somebody was singing my jingle, and somebody was telling about this commercial music, and so you felt like there's something good about it, and I just decided that one day, if my commercials come, like 10 commercials come on national network, I'll quit commercials, advertising. I'll start doing something bigger in music, which I never thought would be films. I thought it would be like album or something. And that's the time when Mani Ratnam came.
Did you know him?
Yeah, I was a big fan. Because being in Tamil Nadu, you are watching. I was working in Malayalam industry. I was working in Kannada industry. I was working in Telugu industry, and I was really yearning for Tamil industry. So I worked for a year and a half with Mr. Raja, and that was all Tamil. So I was very happy that I was working in Tamil. And then back to Telugu with Raj Koti and my friends. So when I came back, of course, from another side, like living in Tamil Nadu, not working in Tamil, was like, so you just start admiring these directors. Maybe one day I'll meet him, one day, that kind of I never knew that one of my producers, Sharda, is cousin sister for Mani Ratnam, and she introduced me to him.
So that's when he first met you.
I went for a screening, and so I met him first. And then he came for one of my jingles celebration, like it won some award.
Okay.
Then I told him, I didn't say I'm a big fan. I want you to come and check out my studio.
Okay.
Because mine was probably the first home studio in Chennai.
Oh wow, okay.
So I just wanted him to experience.
So he must have heard your jingles. He may have even been impressed. But what was the big trigger for him to call you and say, do Roja?
He didn't come to sign me. He came to listen. I think he also had a fight, or maybe misunderstanding with whom he worked with.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like an underground secret. But when he came and listened to it, I thought maybe he didn't like it. But then later told me that he loved everything and he's just silent. He's a very silent man.
So that was your first big break, your first. By then, were you already A.R. Rahman?
No.
You were still Dilip.
So, yes, but then the faith and what are the incantations I'm praying and all the stuff which he taught me, a spiritual teacher. I'm doing that, and the change was very evident. And so when I released my music was about to release, and I told him about the name change, and he said, no. So my mother called him and said, no, this is very true, and we feel that this is going to be good for him. So he was fine.
So moving forward, what happened after Roja?
I got the national award. So everybody came to me like, this is not good for you. This is not good for your future. Because if you get a national award, it takes 100 movies for one to get a national award.
Sure, you got in your
you
first.
You can't get in the first two.
That's intense amount of pressure.
Intense pressure. So when everybody else was doing 30 movies a year, I was doing 3.
Okay.
So just 1/10 of what I could have done.
Was the 2.0 version a different personality?
No, it's just almost same. Okay. Just that my mind was more clear.
Were you more social?
No, my mind was clear and had a motivation to do my job, which is music. And so there's nothing stopping me. So if a budget movie comes in and it doesn't have any money, I don't care. I'll put my money and record strings. I would put my money. So it is not the budget of the movie. It is my music. I had this, at least the kind of respect for my own music, that this should be the best. And people said, no, this is going to use it as a background song. What do you? And who knows? Tomorrow, it's audio. How many movies, songs we listen to which don't even know whether it's a hit movie or flop movie. The song is a great song. So for me, it was not because of the maker or the movie. My respect for what I had for music was always the same, whether it's a big maker or a small maker. And sometimes people used to get jealous. Why did you give that such beautiful songs for that movie where you spoiled all your songs? Like, I don't care, my songs are there. And we get this a lot from people.
My question is really about your 2.0, personality being different is because, I mean, that's why I asked if you're more social, because I want to talk about how you got married. Right? Were you ready in your mind that I'm, of age, marriageable age?
I think as a human being, we all have biological needs and we need emotional needs and all the stuff. And my sisters were getting married, and so I didn't have and I was too shy to go out to a disco or go to a bar. So I told my very 2 generations back kind of a story. Asked my mother to go pick up a bride for me. So that's what happened. So.
But tell me about the story about how you briefed your mother and what kind of girl you want.
I wanted somebody who would complement my faith, and so we can build a family and in the Prophet's way, where I respect that kind of a way.
So talking about how you chose your wife, weren't you already famous by then?
Yes, I was famous, and I was getting afraid that if I became a little more bigger at that point, there'll be a constant suspicion when you marry somebody and then you think, oh, maybe they're married for money and all the stuff, which is unnecessary. And people, we don't do that, but people do that. Constant disbelief. Maybe
that's true.
That person will take money away.
Money has its own problem.
Maybe that person is doing for this, maybe that, and all the stuff. And then finally they forget that there's a life and we are marrying for the sake of God. In my version, it's the niyat. And we did have a little bit of hiccups, but it's very important for me. I think that's the point where I had to become from a teenager to a man.
So you met your wife, who your mother had picked, and you must have had a conversation with her. She must obviously already have been a fan of yours by then, right? And just imagine if a regular girl, is asked to meet a celebrity for marriage. It's a big thing. So
I think she was not bothered, but the family was very excited.
Okay.
And in my case, I think she was a big fan of some of my songs.
Sure.
So all that was good. We had a long phone conversation where I would explain to her what goes on here. The main, I think, difference between us, she was a North Indian.
Okay.
And she couldn't speak Tamil.
Oh.
I could speak English, she could speak English. So communication with my mom or it's difficult for her.
How was it for her to grapple with being married to the celebrity and being living the celebrity life? Must be tough if you're not used to it.
I think she was pretty common. She's not that kind of a. So there were 3 sisters, and all of them, other 2 wanted to marry celebrities.
Oh.
And she's the only one who didn't. Who was okay with a normal person, and I was that normal person.
Okay. Wow, fate takes its own turns. But didn't she ever complain about lack of time she would get from you because you?
No, because I completely oriented her.
You did.
Programmed the computer before. I think that's the way. I think we should not have any surprises. And what you say is what we should do.
How did you develop a relationship with Shekhar Kapur?
You won't even guess who introduced Shekhar Kapur to me. Ram Gopal Verma.
Really?
He introduced me, and when I was doing his movie.
Okay.
And so I met Shekhar. Shekhar, I think, wanted to work with me at that time. So we started working. That movie didn't fly.
Which movie was that?
Tararampam.
Okay.
Because he was getting huge success in the West. And he had to take. So he went and did Elizabeth, which we're all proud of.
Right.
Then he did Elizabeth 2, where he wanted me to co-write with Craig Armstrong. And before that, he was the one who initiated Bombay Dreams. He spoke to Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, that's what I was coming to, because I believe he's the one who called you and said Andrew wants to speak to you, right? So then Andrew Lloyd Webber happened. Which year was that?
2000.
But tell me about that phone call.
Yeah, well, it's a very strange day. I remember it was a Tuesday.
Do you remember the date?
Date, I don't know. It's somewhere in 99. Okay. So evening, I got 2 phone calls. Hear this. So evening I got a call from the Hindu Jazz. They said that Michael Jackson is doing a concert and they want me to do a special number along with them. That was the first phone call.
Okay.
Second phone call is Shekhar calling and say, hey, wait a minute, Andrew Lloyd Webber wants to talk to you. So it's a very strange day. I still remember that.
Rahman, you have obviously, you're one of the few people who said that you had a prophecy and you were told that. So you clearly knew, you were told that you are going to be very famous.
I couldn't believe that because I didn't have anything. I was just a simple musician. I was not, I didn't even think I had it. So I think that's why I think I always believe that blessing is so important, and to give the respect. In every award, I say Allahrakka Rahman, which means all praise to God.
But were you ever ambitious as a person? You had no ambition?
No ambition.
Seriously?
Seriously. Very strange, right? So when I started developing an ambition just because I wanted to give myself motivation. So when people ask me, so what do you want to achieve with Roja, with film music? So I said, we've been listening to all the big bands out there. We've been celebrating Beatles and Michael Jackson. So I want our own music to reach the same audience whom are listening to that. And everybody used to smile like mischievously. Yeah, sure. But I think to have an intention is very, very important.
So obviously your latest project, which is close to your heart, which is just about released, is the One Heart concert film. And I believe that's something that you've experimented with. Tell me a little bit about, the One Heart. Firstly, how did you think of this concept?
Watching myself on TV, even if
Oh, really?
there's an interview, my wife pulls me and I was like, please don't torture me. So no, please, can I watch one interview with you? No, I can't. I can't watch myself. So I ran away. So when this happened, this tour happened in 2015. It was called the Intimate Tour, and we handpicked musicians, and he said, let's have fun. This is not an arena or that kind of a show where we have 60,000 people. We'll probably do for 2,000, 3,000, where we can literally see the faces and sing something very beautiful. And that happened after 10 shows. Some of them are sold out, some of them are historic. I felt like this is something special, and we should probably film this. And we got cameras, we finished filming it, and then felt good about it. After 6 months, we looked at the footage. We had around 2.5 hours of footage that time. And then one of our producers, Karan Grover, suggested, let's get an editor. Mani Kabir, who does for BBC, she came and edited and with the interviews, and I felt like, oh, she's made it so beautiful that it's engaging from beginning to end.
I've always wondered, actually a lot of people have wondered, you're such a shy, introverted personality, but on stage, you suddenly have this great release of abundance of energy.
The thing is, I started watching my concert and I looked at myself, I was looking so bad, uninterested. And I said, like, who's going to pay when our main artist is like an introvert sitting behind the keyboard? And so you should at least smile. You should make those changes in you where it, engages people. Because they've come all the way to see you, they're respected, and of course they're coming for the music, but still this all counts. So then from then this transformation happened, where we started doing a lot of things which was decent enough to not over the top, taking the shirt off.
That would be
Yeah.
we would like to see that visual. Huh?
Maybe next 10 years I can be a Mick Jagger.
But so tell me about this concert film.
So this film, the motivation was again, my dream was post Oscars is to do something and get a corpus fund for musicians.
Oh, okay.
And that never happened because it's so big, the reality kind of and it was a very difficult concept to do. So then again, Karan Grover said, why don't you make this film as that thing? So we made One Heart. All the proceeds go to One Heart Foundation for musicians.
Okay, and if I don't ask you this question, it's a disservice, really. But if you look at the world now, forget India, remove the Indian hat, just as a human being. If you look at the world right now and what we are going through, and I think the world is going through some serious issues. I think we're all going to some identity crisis. What would you attribute Islamophobia to?
I think it's a phase. Because again, in 30 years, I've seen many other religions going through the same
Being
kind of-
targeted, yeah.
targeted, and it's I think the time for Islam. I think mainly Muslims should come out and do a lot of good things, and
Do you think-
wipe out the bad, because that's what the Prophet has said. When you see bad, wipe it out with the good. Do more good, and I've seen that happening also. When the floods and everything, you see younger people coming in and acting so beautifully. So it's happening now. The awakening has started.
So, you at a very early stage you've achieved the epitome of success, if I could say that. What's next? All the awards are done.
So I'm I think I'm a filmmaker now. I started YM movies.
So the 3.0, the Rahman, the filmmaker.
3.0, wait, 2.1. Yeah. And so
The filmmaker.
my next movie, mainstream Hindi feature film, is called 99 Songs. It's coming next year. It's directed by Shekhar Kapur. I've written the script, produced, done the music. I hope to give it to audience and hope they like it.
Wow. On that note, thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you so much for telling us your story.
Thank you.